Good morning, good day, everybody. I guess when we make these presentations regarding IMO, usually within a couple of minutes, questions start coming from the audience. So if you had to take two really quick takeaways from our discussions, one is what Blake said this morning, which is scramble, which is, and I'll rephrase it to say mad scramble starting in 2020. And then the second takeaway is really uncertainty in this shipping and refining industry as we move towards the IMO spec change. So there are four options that the shipping industry is going to use in order to meet the requirements. The first option is really the use of scrubbers, and I'm sure most of you have heard about this. So the ships can install scrubbers, and they can continue using the 3.5%, the higher sulfur spec that they're using, a fuel that they're using currently. The shipping industry do not have an economic incentive to install a scrubber at this point in time. The cost of the scrubbers range from anywhere from $1 million, $2 million, to all the way to maybe $7 or $8 million, depending on the size of the ship. So between now and 2020, we expect the rate of adoption is going to be very, very slow. And then once 2020 comes around, we expect the pace of adoption to really kick on from after that time period. This shows a global resid balance. This number that you see, the blue bar, and I'm going to move from left to right on this chart. The total barrels that we're looking at is approximately 3.3 million barrels per day. And if you add 20 to 25% of cutter stock, like light cycle oil, middle distillate, that blenders and traders use today and refiners use today, the total balance is approximately 4 million barrels per day of total residual fuel demand.
Basically, when we go out and talk to the refineries, we hear three things. Problems starting in 2020. How do we get rid of a residue? Number two is how can I benefit from this opportunity? And the third thing is it going to happen in 2020? Or would be a staggered move to 0.5? So do I have 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to react to it? If we take just the residues, distillates can always be sold out, so I've just taken the residue stream. How can they convert that into a low sulfur bunker or distillates or low sulfur fuel oil?
I, for one, vote for going back to 2025. So as a longtime refining technology guy, I look at this from the refining business perspective, and the dilemma to me for refiners comes down to two questions. One, do I want to make fuel oil and actually desulfurize it and remain in a declining market? Or do I want to actually convert it into something more valuable?
Well, what's the refiner's point of view when we start thinking about reducing the sulfur content of marine fuels? And there are lots of ways, as we've heard, to make this product. But for most refiners, it's going to be a shift from using high sulfur resid and some amount of cutter stock to make 3.5% sulfur fuel oil, to a combination of mostly low sulfur gas oil and a quantity of resid.